Welcome back, class. Next up, we're going to talk about cognitive influences on gender. And one of the theories that we're going to talk about is the social cognitive theory. And so the social cognitive theory is where children have these interactions with their social environment. That can be teachers, their parents, their peers. And these interactions are what help to form children's understanding of what gender is. But the critics believe that this social cognitive theory actually pays too little attention to children's own mind and understanding. So they're saying that there are some things that are happening cognitively that this theory just does not address. And so to combat that, the researchers came up with another theory called the gender schema theory. And this is where gender develops through gender schemas of what is appropriate or inappropriate in their culture for the different genders. And we talked about schemas when we talked about cognitive development, and the schemas are just associations that help to guide an individual's perceptions. So they may see, a child may see a lot of women wearing pink, for example. So children may start to associate the color pink with femininity. That's a schema. That's an association. And the more that those schemas or those associations are continuing to be seen, and those associations are continuing to be understood, the more that the schemas will play a deeper role in influencing children's perceptions. And so we think about gender schema. That is how we organize the world in terms of male and female. Children may see males act like this, women act like this, and that helps them to understand how males and females should act, and in turn how they should also act. And this also fuels gender typing. Gender typing, again, is just the associations that we have with the behaviors of women and men. And so this cognitive influence, these schemas, these gender schemas, actually influence gender stereotypes. And we're going to take a deeper dive into gender stereotypes. Thinking about gender stereotypes are just general impressions about females and males. So we look over here, you may believe that more feminine stereotypes are, or more feminine traits are that you're gentle. Some of females are gentle, more emotional, more kind, but more masculine traits based on gender stereotypes could be that you actually don't talk at all, or that you rarely cry, or that you're blunt, you're not nurturing. And so when we talk about gender stereotypes, we're talking about traditional masculinity and femininity. And the traditional masculinity and femininity fall into two categories. When we talk about males, we talk about instrumental. So what are you doing? Are you independent? Are you aggressive? Are you power-oriented? How are you using the tools around you to get what you want? That is males in regards to the instrumental traditional masculinity stereotype. But on the other hand, we have females that are deemed as more expressive. So warm, being gentle, sensitive, kind, nurturing. By elementary, children actually know which traits are linked with being male and being female. And that is a part of gender stereotypes that they see around them. There are also developmental changes in gender stereotyping. And so the question is, when do children begin to engage in gender stereotyping? In Galeman's, Taylor's, and Nagayan's study, they actually saw children as early as 2 years old engage in gender stereotyping, but it was there was a large increase by the age of 4 years of age in gender stereotyping. So at a very early age, early childhood is when gender stereotyping can begin to occur in children. But we move into middle and late childhood, children become more flexible. And when we have children that become more flexible in early adolescence, but in middle and late childhood, like I said, children become more flexible. But gender stereotyping may start to increase again in early adolescence. So it waxes and wanes. But it is important to know that there is some type of change in gender stereotyping. The amount of gender stereotyping as children get older. So we see a lot of it as children are young. It starts to kind of level out as they get older. But as children approach adolescence, then gender stereotyping begins to increase again. Resisting gender stereotypes. This is going to be on a quiz. Children actually believe that it's easier for girls than boys to challenge gender stereotypes. So think about the term tomboy and how that is generally more accepted for girls to display more masculine traits compared to boys displaying more feminine traits. Even though that is changing now, there's still kind of an imbalance. Usually girls are able to tiptoe the line a little bit in comparison to males. And so when we think about gender stereotypes, some people may think that that's based on gender differences and similarities. And so we're going to understand some of the gender differences and similarities. When we talk about women and males, as far as physical and cognitive, females actually have a longer life expectancy compared to males. And males usually grow about 10% taller than females. There isn't a difference in intelligence, but typically females have better verbal skills than boys, and the males have more visual spatial skills compared to females. There are also gender differences in regards to social and emotional understanding and skills. And so when we talk about girls, we usually have this understanding of that girls engage in more relational aggression. So more backbiting, more talking about each other, more gossiping. That's more relational aggression compared to boys. Boys usually just fight it out, and they show more physical aggression. They're able to fight, and then that be the end of it. The guys are back talking after they have engaged in physical aggression. But relational aggression usually lasts a lot longer, and usually girls engage in more relational aggression. So think about the movie Mean Girls. The whole movie was about relational aggression. There are also some gender differences in relationship communication. When we are talking about relationship communication, we're going to first talk about rapport talk. And rapport talk is usually associated with females, and that is where females usually talk to establish connections. But there's another kind of talk called report talk, and usually males engage in more of that report talk, and that means establishing status and power. Yeah, usually you can hear males talk about I'm faster than you. Little kids that are males, I'm faster than you. I can play baseball better than you. But report talk, usually with younger children and girls, they usually deal more with, oh, what are you like? What are you into? I like this too. So they work to establish connections. So the takeaway from this is that females are more relationship oriented than males. There are also gender differences and similarities in regards to emotions and its regulations. Ooh, excuse me. Females usually express emotion more than males do. But males usually show less self-regulation than females. So, although females may express emotion more than males do, males are actually better at decoding emotion, which makes sense because males don't really engage in a lot of relational aggression, and so they may be able to better understand emotions. Females are also known to engage in more pro-social behavior. As teachers, social workers, psychologists, it is our job, and parents to aunts, uncles, grandparents, it's important for us to guide children's gender development. And so there are a few ways that we can guide children's gender development. One way is for us adults to encourage boys to handle their emotions more effectively, encourage the young men to talk about their emotions, to express their emotions, but express it appropriately. And also, something else that we can do to guide children's gender development for girls is for children, encourage girls to be more self-assertive. That self-assertiveness is often lost with girls in comparison to boys. And so it's important to encourage girls to let them know that, what they have to say is important, and it's important for their voice to be heard and for them to be able to express their opinion. Okay, that is it for this video. In the next video, we're going to discuss gender role classification. I'll see you all on the next video.